Let's take a look at how we can apply the empirical rule to an actual real-world situation. Let's say that the mean number of text sent by a person's phone is 83 with a standard deviation of 9 text. Well, with this information, I should be able to draw a nice normal curve that illustrates where the values are falling. The mean number of text is 83, so that's going to be the middle of the curve. The standard deviation of 9 text tells me that I'm going to increase 9 text with every standard deviation. So if I increase 9 text, I'm up to 92. That's 1 standard deviation above the mean. Increase another 9 text, that's 101. That's 2 standard deviations. And then 3 standard deviations would be 110. I can go below the mean by subtracting that standard deviation of 9. 1 standard deviation below the mean would be 74. Subtracting 9, 2 standard deviations would be 65. And subtracting 9, we'd get to 56. That's 3 standard deviations below the mean. So I might label this plus 1 standard deviation, plus 2 standard deviations, and plus 3 standard deviations, minus 1 standard deviation, minus 2 standard deviations, and minus 3 standard deviations. From this picture, then, I should be able to identify the range of text with 68% of data values between them. Because I know from the empirical rule that 68% of values are between 1 standard deviation, 95% of values are between 2 standard deviations, and 99.7% of values are within 3 standard deviations of the mean. So if I want the middle point where 68% of text are between, that's 1 standard deviation. I know that days between 74 and 92 text messages sent, if I just look at those days, that's going to be 68% of days for this person. 68% of days have text messages between 74 and 92 sent. I could find the range with 95% between. Where do 95% of days fall between in terms of text messages? Well, 95% is 2 standard deviations. So I know that's going to be days sending between 65 and 101 text messages. What if I asked for the range with 99.7% between them? Well, 99.7% from the empirical rule is 3 standard deviations from the mean. So that means days where 56 to 110 text messages were sent represents 99.7% of days for this person's texting habits. Here's one that's not on the empirical rule, but we should still be able to figure out. What is the range with 50% below? Well, what's nice about the mean is the mean cuts everything in half. 50% below the mean and 50% above the mean, which means 50% of days send fewer than 83 text, because that is the mean. So this allows us to identify ranges of values that a certain percent of days or of data values fall between.